Pixar. Who doesn't love Pixar? Even when Pixar messes up, we still love Pixar no matter what. Even when they make unnecessary sequels, we still love Pixar. Even when they don't hit the emotional punch, we still love Pixar. I guess. So, with the release of Luca last weekend, I thought I would take this time to kind of like go through all the Pixar movies, briefly rank them from the worst to the best, at least from my opinion. My opinion isn't the correct opinion. My list isn't the right list. Everyone has their own list, but this is my personal list. I initially was going to do this last year with Onward and Soul, which was supposed to come out immediately afterwards. And then COVID happened, so I didn't. I scrapped the entire thing, and I just didn't feel like doing it. But now with Luca out, I might as well just do it. Rank all 24 movies. I'm going to try to go through them as fast as I can. Some of them I'm going to discuss more than others, but, you know, we'll get there eventually. So, let's start with the bottom. Let's start with number 24, which is Cars 2. Now, while everyone will disagree on where certain movies would be put on this list, I think nearly everyone will agree Cars 2 is the worst Pixar movie. At least the other Pixar movies at least have some sort of message. It doesn't always hit home. This one doesn't even have a message. It's just random spy stuff with a car race. And Larry the Cable Guy just is mistaken for a spy. And the humor is not funny. The story is confusing. It's just bizarre. It's just really odd for a movie franchise to just go immediately from like a small wholesome picture to this big, bombastic, illogical mess. And also on a side note, I never thought I would hear Larry the Cable Guy and Michael Caine in the same movie. Ever. And number 23, I'm putting The Good Dinosaur. This is a weird one for me because I remember seeing it in theaters and liking it when it first came out. And then the more I thought of it, the more I kind of hated it. I feel like there was a lot of wasted opportunity, especially with the whole, hey, that meteor that was supposed to hit the dinosaurs didn't hit Earth after all. And they kind of don't elaborate on that. The main characters aren't that interesting. Even like when I remember trying to think of like the stuff I liked, like the jokes or the animation, none of it really stuck out to me. It was just forgettable in a lot of ways. This was Pixar's biggest problem child, and it showed. Next up at 22, Monsters University. This isn't a bad movie by any means. This is just a forgettable movie. I kind of remember the first act, like, how all these, like, how Mike and Sully met each other and their roommates, I guess. It just wasn't very memorable. Like, I don't really remember what the movie was about. I remember there was, like, some sort of a scaring competition. It's just forgettable, in my opinion. I am looking forward to Monsters at Work, though, so there's that. At number 21 is Luca. Now, Luca has a very good message about how, being comfortable with revealing who you are and not being afraid of that. The message is good. It's just the most basic setup for a movie possible. The blandest villain, the blandest setting, the blandest stakes. There's really nothing here other than that nice message, but other than that, didn't really work for me. At number 20, I'm going to put Cars. This was a movie that came out at a weird time when I was like starting to like get out of animated movies, and this movie really didn't help. I thought the story overall was very generic. I thought while some of the performances were fine, like Owen Wilson and Paul Newman, they were good. Yeah, I didn't really care for Larry the Cable Guy as Mater, as you'll see. As you heard from Cars 2, I really don't care for Mater. I just felt like the story was just very slow-moving, very bland, and just, honestly, mostly forgettable, I would say, unfortunately. At number 19, I'm going to put A Bug's Life. This was a movie that's, again, I kind of forgot it was even a Pixar movie, to be honest. I do remember the story where it's like, this bug, he has to go find like a group of heroes to stop these grasshoppers, and he brings back a circus even though he doesn't know it's a circus. Basically, it's fine. The characters are fine, I guess. They're kind of forgettable. It was kind of a step down from Toy Story, as you'll see from this list as well, but it's okay, in my opinion. It's one of the ones that I kind of forget about, to be honest, but oh well. At number, I'm already lost in this list. Wow, I'm already lost. There's so many Pixar movies. At number 18, I'm going to put Brave. This is a movie that I have a weird relationship with this movie. I feel like it gets too much of a bad rep, but I don't think it's that great. I think it's good, but not Pixar good. I do like the mother-daughter relationship in this movie. I do like the animation of the movie. I think the humor is just a little off at times, and I feel like it should have been stronger, like emotionally, than it actually was, unfortunately. At number 17, I'm going to put Cars 3. This is the best Cars movie by default. I feel like the stuff with Lightning McQueen is good, but other than that, I didn't think a lot of it was good after all, unfortunately. At number 16, I'm going to put Onward. This is another one that I just have mixed feelings about as a whole. I love the world that they created for this movie. Tom Holland and Chris Pratt, they're really good. They're really believable as siblings. I just feel like a lot of the adventure is kind of bland, and while the message and the emotional moments really hit hard, I kind of just didn't care for the journey, unfortunately. At number 15 is probably my most controversial pick, and that is Toy Story 4. Toy Story 4 is my least favorite Toy Story movie, because I feel like it's just unnecessary. It really is. Like, Toy Story 3 ended perfectly, it had a nice ending, and this movie not only screws up the ending of Toy Story 3, but just kind of feels hypocritical at times. Like, at the end of Toy Story 3, all Andy's toys are given to Bonnie, and she loves playing with, Woody. And in this new one, she plays with every toy but Woody somehow. It didn't make sense. It's like, wow, I'm the forgotten toy. And ironically, even after Toy Story 3, like, we just forget about all the other toys. Like, at one point, I remember in the movie, it's like, weren't the other toys in this movie? And then it cuts back to them. And it doesn't feel like it's enough. It's not forgettable by any means. I just feel like it's unnecessary. I just feel like, I don't know, like the ending is nice and emotional, even if it is a little out of character, to be honest. But I don't know. I just feel like Toy Story 4 was just unnecessary, and that's kind of why it's this low on the list. At number 14, I'm putting Finding Dory. This is another movie where I remember walking out and saying, oh, that was really good. And then the more I thought of it, the more I kind of disliked it. Like, I feel like with Finding Dory, it had a really good idea with how to handle, Dory in this movie. The way it handles Marvin and Nemo in this movie is just, it's so forgettable, in fact, that they actually just forget about it halfway through the movie. It's like, oh yeah, we had a thing. We're going to forget about it. Oh well. Also, it takes place at this water park, which I don't think is really as interesting as the ocean, or even the dentist's office from Finding Nemo. Because, about more than halfway through the movie, we get to the turtles, but, 20 minutes in, we're already at the turtles. Okay. That was kind of disappointing. And I remember this was also a really bad theater experience for me. I remember seeing this in theaters, and some parents brought their, newborn baby, and they were right next to me, and at one point, the baby was crying for, 10 minutes. So maybe my theater experience hurt this movie a lot more than it did. But I don't know. I feel like Finding Dory has good ideas. I just feel like the execution's a bit off. At number 13, I'm going to put Incredibles 2. Now, I remember really looking forward to Incredibles 2, and I remember really walking out really enjoying that movie. And there are things I really do like about this. I do like seeing all these other superheroes in this world. I do like getting to see Elastigirl more. I do like seeing the family dynamic a lot more than I did in the first movie. But I feel like the villains aren't nearly as strong as Syndrome. Also, I've noticed it kind of follows a few similar beats to the original movie. It didn't bother me as much as, say, when Mary Poppins Returns just blatantly copied Mary Poppins, or when Force Awakens blatantly copied A New Hope, but it was just noticeable. It wasn't to the point of annoyance, but it's noticeable, unfortunately. At number 12, I'm going to put Ratatouille. Now, this is one that I think is really good overall. I do like the message about how, it's important to follow your dreams. It's important to, work to make your dreams come true no matter what. I kind of had a hard time getting into this movie at first, but I do think it's really good overall. At number 11 is the original Toy Story. Now, I do like this movie, don't get me wrong. I just feel like, because it was their first movie ever, it's a little dated. A lot of the animation doesn't hold up as well, unfortunately. Even though I think Toy Story 4 is the worst Toy Story movie, I do think it's the best animated of the four. It's the worst written of the four, but it's the best animated of the four. This is not really that well animated, only because, they were just working on it. And the story itself is kind of kind of generic, but you do get a sense of these characters. Woody and Buzz are really great together. I do like kind of the idea. I do like the idea of like how these toys just come alive when their owner's not around. I do like the idea. Also, it does make me laugh still, even to this day, even if the jokes are a little stale. But I don't mind it. At number 10, I need a breather. This is too many movies, man. At number 10, I'm putting Wall-E. Wall-E, I do love the futuristic world where it's like completely disastrous. No one's left on Earth. And I do like the fact that there's hardly any dialogue in this movie. I do like Wall-E. I don't know if I really care for the relationship with Wall-E and Eve. I guess it like improves because it feels like Eve is just, not really into Wall-E at all. It does make me think about like what I'm doing with this Earth and like kind of like how I feel like I need to do better to like clean up the Earth in some way, even if it's just the tiniest thing possible. It's beautifully animated, beautifully scored. Wall-E is a really fascinating movie to me. At number 9 is Finding Nemo. I remember walking out of this movie feeling, I was 9 when I first saw it, and I was a bit disappointed. I guess because it was a lot more dramatic than I expected it to be. And now as an adult, I understand why it's very dramatic, because it's like obviously a movie about a dad losing his kid. That's not really a laugh riot. And I do think that is handled well. I do think they balance the drama and the humor very well. I do like, how Marvin kind of becomes more open to the idea of like, exploring the ocean and just letting go of fear. And I do like the idea of like Nemo kind of like learning that the world is kind of a harsh place, but not letting his personality go. I do like that. And Dory, obviously, she's really good in this movie. The ocean, very beautiful to look at. This is a movie that has grown on me over the years, so I appreciate it for that alone. At number 8, Toy Story 3. Now, I do really like this movie. I do really like the fact that the toys get a lot more to do in this movie than they do, admittedly, in some of the other movies, like Toy Story 4, for instance. I do like the emotional impact this movie had, especially towards the end. Yeah, that's all I can really say about Toy Story 3, because we all know. At number 7, I'm putting Coco. Now, this is one that I really enjoyed. Another beautifully animated movie. I do like the characters in this one. I do like Miguel a lot. And, shoot, I'm forgetting his name. Oh, God, I'm so mad. Coco's father, I do like him. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. I do like the message about, the importance of being remembered and, like, how, it's important to be remembered by those who love you. That way you can continue your story. I do like that angle. The music's also really good. Not just the score, but even, like, Remember Me. That's still a great song. Un Poco Loco. That's also a really good song. It's definitely a movie that's really good to watch no matter what day of the year it is. At number 6, Monsters, Inc. This is one I've watched since I was a kid. I still love it to this day. Mike and Sully are really great. I do love this world that they created for Monsters, Inc. I'm really excited for Monsters at Work. I do really like the idea of, like, kids are usually afraid of monsters, and using this movie to kind of humanize them in a way. That was actually really clever. I wasn't afraid of monsters as a kid, and I think this movie kind of helped. So, I do like that. I do think the humor is really good. I do think the chemistry between the two leads is really good. It's very creative, very inventive. I really enjoy Monsters, Inc. At number 5, The Incredibles. This is like one of those movies that, doesn't necessarily have that strong message like other Pixar movies, but it's just a lot of fun. Like, I do love the superhero angle of this whole story. I do love the superpowers they give each character. I do love the dynamic between Mr. Incredible and Syndrome. I think it's a really fun movie. I think it's a really fun Pixar movie, even if it doesn't have that strong message or emotional punch. But who cares? Incredibles is awesome. Who cares? At number 4 is my favorite Toy Story movie, Toy Story 2. Probably an unpopular opinion, but I don't care. I really like Toy Story 2. I do like this whole angle about how, Woody realizes what his past was. And I do like how it kind of ties into, like, how Jesse is and, like, how his arc was like. And I do like, how it's like, Like the whole song "When She Loved Me," I love that song. It makes me tear up every time, no matter what. I try not to listen to that song because it just makes me cry. I do think the animation's great. The characters are great. I feel like there's not really a wasted moment in this movie. I think it's the most. It's the one that emotionally resonated with me the most. Some will say Toy Story 3, but Toy Story 2 hits me harder than that movie does. Interestingly enough. At number 3, I'm going to put Soul. This is a really good Pixar movie. It's a follow-up to Inside Out, basically. Not really, but like in spirit. I do like the idea of how they like handle the souls and like handle their personalities, and how the message of the movie is like, you know, it doesn't matter if you do everything that you want to do in life, just as long as you live your life, that's the most important thing. I do really like Jamie Foxx and Tina Fey in this movie. They're incredible. The animation's really good. Soul is another thought-provoking Pixar movie that I really enjoyed. At number 2 is Up. Up was a movie that, admittedly I didn't see right away. I saw it in I think in 2010, the year after it came out. And around the time around that movie came out, I remember kind of forgetting about animation. I didn't care about animation. I didn't really, like, anytime I saw a preview for an animated movie, I'm like, oh god, no. Because, like, 2006 through, say, 2008 was just kind of a lull for animated movies for the most part. I mean, we did have some good movies come out then, like WALL-E and Ratatouille, but not much really. And then I saw Up, and that gave me like the kick to go back to Disney movies, to go back to animated movies, because I loved Up. I love the animation. I love the story. The relationship between Carl and Ellie, it's heartbreaking. The relationship that Carl builds with Russell is also really good. It's a lot of fun. It's very heartbreaking. It's very emotionally satisfying. Up was my favorite Pixar movie for a while, and then I saw my favorite Pixar movie, Inside Out. I love Inside Out. I don't care if like that's not one of it's definitely one of Pixar's best to a lot of people, but not a lot of people put it as their best. It's my personal favorite. I love Inside Out, and I think it's mostly because Inside Out kind of came out around the time when it's like I was dealing with a lot of things emotionally, and that movie actually really helped me kind of like understand like why I was feeling these emotions, and it was one of the ones that just really impacted me, and it came out at the right time for me. As far as like the quality of the film, the animation is perfect. I love it. Every time I look back at it, there's always something new I notice where it's like, how did I not see that before? That is incredible. Also, the voice acting, Amy Poehler, Phyllis Smith, even some of the smaller characters like Bill Hader, Mindy Kaling, Louis Black as Anger, that was just perfect casting right there. I love Inside Out. I love the score. I love the jokes. I love the story. Everything about Inside Out I think is perfect. It's my personal favorite Pixar movie. Probably not a lot of other people's, but I just love Inside Out. So, those were all 24 Pixar movies. Wow, that was a lot. That was a lot, and probably not a lot at the same time, I feel like. Oh well. So, what are your favorite Pixar movies? What are your least favorite Pixar movies? Comment down below, subscribe to the channel. This is Pat, and stay safe. I kind of wanted to enter, like, that lamp. Kind of, like, bash something and then just stare at the camera. Oh well.